Bam. Lego Builder, what's going on? Johnny Boy, good to see you. Jason, I Short. How's it going, everybody? I missed you. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's feeling all right.
That being Daisy's mom. So he cuts her up to find out why. Obviously, it's because she's a human, but that doesn't help Reinhardt much, so he just uses her DNA to make
Hope everybody is
He starts going under the name
feeling good.
But I'm just going to keep calling him Reinhardt.
How was your weekend? Hope everybody's weekend was good. Awesome. Good to know, Lego 30 Builder. How you doing, Brick Yum? Big Whelm? Big Will? See, Remy, what's going on, my friend? We are back on the set. Hope everybody's feeling good today. Before we get to our build tonight, I'm just working on this week's Brago Monday. And because it's Shark Week this week, I'm building something pretty cool. I'm building Landshark. I'm going to build that as a Brago piece.
Thanks to that and her human powers, she heals somewhat.
That's what we have so far.
People and absorb all of their lives to good.
I'm going to put this top piece on.
And decides to take their daughter Daisy.
It's going to start to come into
Daisy's
form.
Mom and Dad search for their daughter for a while afterwards, which involves a lot of killing, but can't find her, so they end up divorcing. Daisy's put into St. Agnes Orphanage, where she's given the name Sky. But again, for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to keep calling her Daisy. A few years later, Carter retires from S.H.I.E.L.D. after many years of dutiful service, and settles down living a peaceful life as a grandma. Eventually, she develops Alzheimer's. At this point in time, over in Africa, Wakanda is still secretly flourishing, and the current king is T'Chaka, who is also the Black Panther. He's at a conference somewhere where he refuses to share Wakanda's resources. There's some people who hire a guy called Ulysses Claw to assassinate T'Chaka. Claw already doesn't like Wakandans, since his great-granddad was killed by the Black Panther at the time, a long time ago. The assassination attempt fails, though, and Claw, also being an arms dealer and part-time SoundCloud rapper, is now on everyone's radar. There's another A year later, Pop finally gets out of jail and decides to stop being a criminal and instead sets
Super Roo going, what's up? Candygram? I haven't seen those in such a long time, Candygrams. Lillian Girl, how you doing? No Matrix. How's it going? What's up? Yeah, man, it's Shark Week.
Stark is pretty surprised to see his old friend Bucky Barnes.
Because Landshark is starting to come together.
It's made to look like a car accident. After this, Stark Industries is left to Tony, who keeps selling weapons like his father with the help of Obadiah Stane.
So it's coming together a little bit.
Back to Hydra, where it's used to make 5 more super soldiers. They get out of control though, and so are put into cryo-freeze, because they are incredibly dangerous. King T'Chaka of Wakanda also has a called Njoku, sent undercover by the King of America for Wakandan affairs. He meets and falls in love with a woman there, and has a kid, Eric. However, Njoku sees that people of African descent all over the world are being oppressed, and is like, hey, I've got all this awesome tech in Wakanda, we should use it to help these people. It's an idea to really influence on his son, Eric. So he decides to destroy his brother and his country, and teams up with Ulysses Claw to steal some vibranium from Wakanda. The country, Jobu's like, Shatsuri. But T'Chaka stopped half-dead body with character claw marks on it, and cries. Over the years, Eric plots his revenge against Wakanda and how to fulfill his dad's dreams of revolution, which involves joining the army and being so brutal and efficient at killing that he gets the nickname Killmonger. Anton Benko is still kicking around in Russia, by the way, with his son Ivan, but he gets sent to jail for selling some really serious weapons. Back in New York, there's a boy called Matt Murdock, whose dad is a boxer. Matt loves his dad almost as much as he loves his eyesight, but soon he's involved in a car accident where a bunch of chemicals get into his eyes, so he goes blind. However, twist, his other senses are super enhanced, so he can basically still see, and in some ways can see better than normal people, if you think about it. Soon after, his dad has a boxing match coming up, and he's told he has to lose it so people can win some money and blah 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 corruption. But because he wants his son to see his old man as a winner, he wins the fight. His son Matt is super proud, and it's a really nice touching moment, and then he gets shot. Matt is sent to St. Agnes Orphanage, where Daisy is staying, and here, Stick, another blind guy with heightened senses, who's also a member of the Chase, those people fighting the Hand, visits Matt because he knows about his super high senses. He thinks Matt could be useful in the fight against the Hand, and offers to train him in super senses martial arts, which Matt accepts. We're going to do a little jumping around here for this time.
Oh yeah, thank you, Remy. Appreciate that.
He joins S.H.I.E.L.D. Along with that secret
I want to make sure that what I'm building here makes sense.
Out in space, Stallone finds out that Yondu's been trafficking kids, which isn't cool, so he kicks him out of the Raptor Club. Back on Earth, there's this
I'll make sure I put his teeth on.
Banner, and he meets another sciencey girl,
BB Builds, what's up, man?
Somewhere else on Earth, a teenager called
Just got a massive haul of figs. What? He's got a massive haul of figs? That's awesome, bro. How many figs though? That's the real question. How many figs? How many figs did you get?
Training, including parts, and becomes one of the best assassins in the world.
Right now, what we're doing right now, we're making Landshark from the show, from Lego Masters for Brago Monday. Every Monday, I do a new Brago. Brago is the fashionable pins that I wear on the show. I call them Bragos because they are brooches made of Lego.
Well, it's probably confusing.
So every Monday I do a new feature, and since this week is Shark Week, I want to do this as a feature.
It takes many forms over the years, and it's apparently now in the
No.
The Chase is obviously not too happy about this, so they
All right, I gotta take this off. Gotta fix this real quick.
Just sends her off food and grease after turning her into a super assassin.
There we
Also,
go.
this guy, also living in New York, called Carl Lucas, gets beat up in a fight. So his friends really strike her.
Once I finish this, and I'm almost done. Once I finish this, then I will be going into back to the Hall of Armor. Hey, Stacy, how are you? I see your chair you're sitting on. WWE fan? Yeah, I'm a WWE fan to an extent. I don't like WWE right now. I don't think. I think their vision is going in the wrong direction. But I am a fan.
The Ancient One steals energy from the Dark Dimension to live for a very long time to keep teaching. Remember, stealing energy from the Dark Dimension is a bad idea because it could let loose a planet-destroying entity. Natasha Romanoff is now out in the world doing finds her and beats her in combat, but doesn't kill her. Instead, he offers her a chance to use her skills for good and join S.H.I.E.L.D. She accepts the offer and becomes best friends with Quick. And in the coming years, they go on many missions together, including one particularly weird one in Budapest. John Garrett now meets up with Grant Ward, who's in juvie because he broke down his brother. Garrett sees Hydra.
Huge fan? Do you like where they're going right now with WWE? With the he started doing, what is it, Underground? What is it called? Raw Underground? You like that? Vanity, how are you, Vanity Vixen? You know that name Vanity. I love that. I love the actress Vanity. Way back when, from like the 90s, maybe even the 80s, maybe. I was in love with Vanity, but you know who wasn't? You know who wasn't in love with Vanity?
developed the extremist virus together.
Vanity was,
Still has other side effects.
she was amazing.
Also, extremist
Goddess.
himself declared that he was a disability. Unfortunately, there's no cure for it. Meanwhile, the girl named Jessica Jones.
She lived in a very hard time. Lived in a very hard time in life. Come on, not sauce.
Scientific experiments on people to save lives and heal injuries. However, their experiments are illegal and have the unfortunate side effect of giving superpowers. They get done with saving Jessica's life, or rather bringing her back from the dead, within 20 days. The side effects are she has super strength and can jump super high. Jessica's mom is a different story though. She has more injuries and has to be treated for much longer. 5 years to be exact. Jessica is now an orphan, so a talent agent called stops Jessica. But Jessica shows off her powers and promises she'll protect Trish. Her and Trish then become BFFs for a bit. However, they fall out as Trish becomes a driven pop star. So there's this big company called Rand Enterprises. It's run by Wendell and Heather Rand, who have a son called Danny. They're really good friends with a family called the Meachams. The dad, Harold Meacham, and the kids, Joy and Ward Meacham. Joy, Ward, and Danny hang out a lot, even though Ward's a bit of a dick. But at some point here, Harold Meacham gets
All right, I only got one more piece to add. And I think my Landshark would be done.
And offers to bring him back to life with your dragon bone juice if it'll work for him. He agrees, but Wendell Rand is about to find out about this, so he asks Madame Gao to help him, which is also let Harold take over the company. So, Danny Rand and his parents are on a flight, but their plane crashes in the Himalayas because Harold Meacham had the poison. Mommy and Daddy Rand die, but Daddy stays alive. He's found by the order of the Crane Brothers to save his life and take him back to the mystical city of Kunlun, where he trains with the monks there to defend a ninja war. Harold Meacham then takes over Rand Enterprises, which is the Okay, now remember the monolith? This portal to another planet? Well, it's ended up in the possession of NASA. And the astronauts are sent over.
See, now I'm thinking Vanity. I got Vanity in my mind now.
Who stays there for the next
Larry Latt, how you doing? Angel, what's going on, my friend? What's up? What's up, Twitch? I don't know if I said hi to you, Twitch, but how you doing, Twitch? Hope you guys feeling good. Hope you guys doing good. You guys are awesome. All right, let's take this head back off. I want to just change up a few things on it.
He goes to fight in Afghanistan, where he befriends a dude called Curtis, but more importantly, he befriends a guy who will become his best friend in the whole wide world, Billy Russo. They do a lot of fighting together, and while at home, at some point, Frank falls in love with a woman, marries her, and has a family with her. Then, back to the wars, Frank and Frank get assigned to a new squad called Cerberus, under this guy nicknamed Agent Orange, who's a pretty shady guy. This unit is pretty shady too. They go in, find high-value targets to the U.S., interrogate them, then kill them. Cerberus is also a secret front for a drug operation led by Agent Orange, so that's bad. This is all unbeknownst to Frank Hassel, by the way. An Afghan policeman who works with a woman called Madani discovers Cerberus's true intentions and poses a potential threat. Therefore, he's captured and tortured by Agent Orange under the excuse of him being a potential terrorist. Orange then orders Frank to kill him, which Frank does. The whole thing is recorded, and Frank has no idea that he just shot a totally innocent man. Agent Orange then assigns Frank and Russo and their team to a super dangerous mission. Frank's like, hey, this is obviously a trap, and Agent Orange is like, nah, don't worry about it. But, yeah, it's a trap. Frank uses all of his super fury to kill everyone there, but it's pretty intense, and a lot of men die. Agent Orange acts like a real prick about it when they get back, so Frank attacks him and punches his eye out. Just bam! Alright, the eye doesn't actually fly out of his head, but it hurts. Russo then quits the military while Frank stays. But also unbeknownst to Frank, Russo is also a terrible person, and starts working with Agent Orange for their own nefarious plans. Now at this point, I just kind of moved away from the whole tentacle of human origin, but there are still some firm believers in that, including a big...
I am working on a Brago.
Who ends up on the
I don't know if you can see it.
He's still sending
a little
people
bright.
through portals trying to get life back.
But this is my Landshark from the show, from Lego Masters. So this is for the, oh, there we go. So this is for Brago Mondays. Every Monday I do a Brago, like one of those Bragos that you see here. So last few Brago Mondays I've done different type of Bragos. So because it's Shark Monday, well, it's Shark Week, I'm definitely doing that. Julian, my friend, how are you, young man? How are you doing today, Julian? Yeah, I had a great class, I heard. So, Julian, I am making a shark for Shark Week. If you, from the show, Lego Master, I don't know if you heard of it. Oh, King Arthur. Oh, thank you, King Arthur. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. We're humbled by that statement. King Arthur said that we were his favorite on Lego Master. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I enjoyed space class today. Awesome. Awesome. You did a great job today. So this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing right now. Building a Landshark Brago. So I'm pretty happy how it turned out. It looks like a shark. If you guys are kids of the 90s, we had a show called Street Sharks. If you guys remember that show, this reminds me of the leader. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. I don't know if it was like Rex or something like that. But yeah, that was a pretty cool show. I used to watch that show before I went to school. Before I had to go walk to school for, back in the 90s. I remember Street Sharks used to come on. I forget what other shows used to come on. Gargoyle. So it was Street Sharks. It was Gargoyle that used to come on. What else? Gargoyle, Street Sharks. At one time they had Transformers, the new Transformers. Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Mark and Boone. I'm going to tag them in it too. I think Mark and Boone will really appreciate. They will appreciate this. I think next week I'm going to try to make another character from Lego Masters. This character might be a little difficult due to the limited colors that I have for it. So, but I'm going to give it a try anyway.
Escapes IGH to go see her daughter Jessica, who is now living with her boyfriend Sterling. Jessica's mom thinks Sterling isn't good enough for her daughter, so she murders him out of rage, then runs away, leaving Jessica pretty upset. This leads to Jessica going back to Trish, helping her get off drugs, and they become besties again. Jessica's mom goes back to IGH, realizing she still needs help, and starts a romantic relationship with Dr. Carl there, who now loves her and also uses her for whatever he needs. So Matt and Foggy are just
all right.
Some people see him. He tries to contact Betty, but he can't.
This weekend has been very eventful. Comically Normal Spoon. Good to see you. This weekend I purchased, I think Friday and on Sunday I purchased some Legos, some Lego pieces, which was really good. Good price. One was $15 for like 1,000 pieces. Another one was $10 for 1,000 pieces. It's a pretty good deal. I'm building my teaching kit because I would like to continue doing my virtual classes and also go to actual locations. So I'm thinking into doing that, doing physical locations for classes. Going into business for myself. So a lot of stuff I'm doing. Really excited. I'm really excited to do all these things. Can't wait to keep going. All right. I think I have what I'm trying to do. All right. So let me show you guys. And then we're going to go back to the Hall of Armor. Grab the Hall of Armor, and we're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild a couple things from it. But here is Landshark. So here is Landshark in honor of Shark Week. Looks vicious. All right, Julian, you have a great night, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow. All right.
where there are superheroes.
Excited about this. I'm gonna place this right here.
This timeline starts to get a little muddled here. I know
All
there's
right.
a bit of a debate.
So let's go right into our
But for a number of reasons,
actual builds, which is going back to the.
Some people say it's 2010, but I personally think it makes the most sense if it's in 2009, especially in relation to Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is 6 months afterwards. And it features
Going back to the
2010, so
Hall of Armor.
the year shouldn't matter that much, but it is worth mentioning. Tony Stark's still being a playboy, and at one point he gets into a bar. He gets
Close.
some assistance from his best friend, Colonel James Rhodes, a.k.a. Rhodey. A little later, he went to war for something, but Obadiah Stane has killed him
All right.
because he's too busy.
So,
with reporters.
I'm going to be redesigning all of the pods to look like this with a brick background. So it won't have that transparent glass background here. So kind of sucks because, you know, I kind of like that background, but if I want to be accurate, this is the accuracy that I'm looking for. So I'm going to keep the shade of blue, but we're going to change it up. I'll be right back, everybody. We're going to get started.
However, they only kidnap Tony once they realize who he is and demand that he build them weapons to use. In the whole process, Tony is mortally wounded, but his life is saved by a fellow captive, Ho Yinsen. Yinsen puts an electromagnet in his chest, which keeps the shrapnel in there from killing him, which Tony eventually turns into his dad's old pet project, the Arc Reactor. The 10 Rings also demand more money from Stane because of who they had to kidnap. Bill Coulson is sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to go talk to Stane, and once he gets back to S.H.I.E.L.D., offers to go out himself and save Stark. But Nick Fury, for whatever reason, tells him not to. Instead of building the weapons that the terrorists demanded, over 3 months, Stark, with the help of Yinsen, builds a weaponized suit of armor that he can use to escape, which is powered by that arc reactor in his chest. Over this time, Stark also earns a bit more humanity. While all this is happening, Natasha Romanoff, now a great agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., is sent out on a mission to escort a scientist in Iran. Hydra sends out the Winter Soldier to kill the scientist. He does so by shooting through Romanoff. So after those few months, Stark uses the armored suit to bust out of prison and kill some terrorists. He escapes, but Yinsen is killed along the way. Stark crash lands in the desert and is picked up by the military and taken. Tony's a changed man now. So he pulls Stark Industries out of the weapons business, which Obadiah is.
All right.
And also, Tony's not dead. And he also gets closer to Beckett, who helps put a new arc reactor. Stark continues to refine his armor.
All right, we are back
weapons,
on the set.
Eventually, he turns it into what becomes known as the Iron Man suit.
All right, Trevin, how are you? Christina, what's going on, sis? Coronado, good to see you. Julian, I thought you said you was leaving, buddy. But good to see you back. All right, we're going to redesign these pods. So that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to start with this top. I'm going to start with this top layer here. Rebuild these pods up here.
So he finds a bunch of army veterans who have suffered serious injuries to be his test subjects. He injects them with extremists, and some are successful. They grow back lost limbs, and they're super grateful. Some are not successful, and they explode in a very painful way. Also, at some point here in Asgard, real quick, a guy called Ymir tries to overthrow Odin as king, but he's stopped by Thor. Just a typical day for those guys. So now, back on Earth, the 10 Rings find Stark's first armor suit that he escaped with lying around in the desert, and they start piecing it back together. Stane shows up and sees it and thinks, I can use this, and so starts building his own giant Iron Man suit. All while this is happening, Stark continues to make his suit way better. Now it can fly, can shoot repulsor blasts, and all kinds of stuff. He also gets a fancy AI butler system, and names it Jarvis, after his dad's old butler. Nick Fury is still quite intrigued by this whole Tony Stark character, so he sends Bill Coulson in to talk to Stark about this whole situation, but Stark kind of blows him off. Tony also finds out that some of his company's weapons are still with terrorists in Afghanistan. So he flies in and kills a bunch of them because he can. He has a little brush up with the military and kind of has to reveal to his buddy Rhodey that, yeah, he's Iron Man. Pepper then finds out that Stane's been working with terrorists, so Stane's like, well, everyone knows.
So this guy right here that I'm listening to is talking about the, he's talking about, bring this over. It's talking about the chronological order of the MCU. Trevin, yeah, I seen that. That's pretty good.
Anton Venko, that guy Howard Stark screwed over all those years ago, who's now out of prison, dies while watching it. His son Ivan Venko vows to take revenge on the Stark family. and in a surprisingly short time, uses his dad's old arc reactor blueprints to make his own arc reactor. He then uses that to make an even cooler Iron Man suit. Just kidding, he makes some explosives. After the press conference, Nick Fury approaches Stark himself this time about the Avengers initiative. As a guy with a super high-tech suit, it'd be useful. But Tony's like, no thanks. As he's leaving Stark's house, Fury calls Coulson and tells him they'll need Natasha Romanoff for this job. Coulson also helps train this random guy called Hendricks to be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Unimportant detail, but it happened. All this time, just so you don't forget, Bruce Banner's still running for the military. He ultimately ends up in Rio and starts working at a soda bottle factory. All the while, starting to contact a scientist called Samuel Stearns, who's trying to find a cure for this whole hope thing. He's just trying to keep a low profile and figure out how to return to a normal life. So S.H.I.E.L.D's getting mighty busy these days. Not only do they have this whole Avengers thing planned, but they also start up Project Tahiti. S.H.I.E.L.D. still has that Kree corpse just lying around, and after testing it, they discover some of its bodily fluids have a healing effect, aka they can bring someone back from the dead. So Nick Fury orders this project to be started, with Coulson in charge, to extract some of these fluids in the event that an Avenger is killed in action and needs to be brought back. They test some of this on dying S.H.I.E.L.D. employees, but it doesn't go super well, because they start going insane and drawing maps of that underground Kree city.
Oh boy.
Coulson's like, well, this program kind of sucks, let's shut it down. And so they do. Tony Stark, still enjoying the life of being a billionaire and now also a superhero, starts helping establish world peace as Iron Man, going around and beating up terrorists. He also tries to have a relationship with a woman called Lena, who's, Playboy. However, the Ten Rings find out about this and kidnap Lena's son, afterwards blackmailing her into stealing some Iron Man blueprints for her. However, Tony finds out about this, figures out the situation, and then saves her son. But then stops seeing each other. It's like, how do you come back from that? Stark goes back to seeing his assistant, Pepper Potts. Tony's world peace mission continues, and he stops a group of Ten Rings dudes and hackers from selling his weapons in Italy. He also recovers some stolen paintings, goes to He mostly just continues to fight the Ten Rings, especially in Afghanistan. As he's doing this, he realizes the core of his arc reactor is slowly poisoning him, so he starts searching for a cure. Over in Brazil, Bruce Banner is working in that soda bottle factory, and one day he accidentally cuts his hand, so some of his super blood goes into one of the soda bottles and kills Stanley. This gets the government and military right on the set. Now back over to Hydra. They're working on yet another super soldier program, which that seems to be all they can do. After Red Skull Serum and making robot people, and after
I think I ran into a problem, everybody.
The super soldier serum,
I just reached 100 followers. Hope I can reach Trevin. All right. Guys, if you haven't done so already, please go and follow Trevin West. Trevin Weiss. Please follow Trevin. He just got 100 followers. We're going to try to get him to 200. So that'll be pretty dope.
Let's Hydra see everything you do, and also can kill you if you start doing something wrong. Another very Kingsman-like element. Tony now starts running the Stark Expo 2010 to show off a bunch of new tech and innovations and whatnot, and he shows up in the flesh to really
all right.
Tony.
I might not be able to redesign these pods. It don't look like I can do that. Because some of these Iron Men are a little bit too thick.
He claims that no one's close to replicating this tech.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
So the government should shut up. Testifying against him is the somehow smugger and douchier Tony Stark.
All right.
His rival in the tech world.
Okay, we're gonna
CEO of Stark Industries. Okay, now things
gonna leave everything as is. That's how it happens. Those are the breaks. Leave everything as is.
At this time, the Ten Rings are pretty sick of Iron Man messing up their lives, and so they get Anton Benko, who's completed his arc reactor-based whips, away into the Monaco Grand Prix, which Tony will be attending. Back in Brazil, the army has tracked down Bruce Banner's location and attacks him where he lives, under the command of Uno Blanco. Bruce becomes the Hulk and runs away, waking up in Guatemala the next morning and deciding he should go back to his old university to look for more data on finding a Hulk cure, as he just can't take this anymore. Rhodey, who's now also in the Leeds, is trying to convince Tony to work with the government, and it's starting to get mildly heated between them. Romanoff arrives at Tony's place and sips a pill in a woman's coffee and starts steaming, so she starts throwing up. So Natasha can deliver some files to Stark herself. Tony meets her and acts exactly how you'd expect him to. Tony then goes to the Monaco Grand Prix, as promised, and straight up replaces a guy in the race, because I guess you would do that when you're a superhero. He's having a fun time driving when Ivan Vanko shows up and laser whips his car in half. Luckily, Tony's got an on-the-go armor with him, and he defends himself, later talking to Vanko in prison and getting really nothing out of it. This public display of other arc reactors being out there, though, puts the government even more on Tony's ass. Justin Hammer sees this and breaks Vanko out of prison, wanting him to make Iron Man-like machines for Hammer Tech so he can upstage Tony Stark. Vanko goes along with this, but really just builds a bunch of drones, so he can later on pull some sweet revenge. Tony's still getting poisoned by his arc reactor, the public's against him, the government's on his back, and him and his best friend aren't on great terms. Tony's life sucks right now. Because of this, he throws a big drunken birthday party for himself, which ultimately ends with him and Rhodey getting in a suit-on-suit fight. Rhodey, not being totally drunk, flies off with the suit and gives it to Justin Hammer, unaware of what Hammer is actually doing with his suits. Meanwhile, Agent Jasper Sitwell, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and another undercover Hydra agent, is ordered to keep track of Bruce Banner while Nick Fury goes to help start with his arc reactor. Also, there are big disturbances in the atmosphere around this time in the southwest U.S., caused by some commotion away in Asgard, which we'll get to in a bit. This concerns some people, including astrophysicist Jane Foster. She gets in touch with another astrophysicist called Eric Selvig, and they go to New Mexico to check it out. S.H.I.E.L.D. discovers this is happening and keeps an eye on it. Now, way back across the universe in Asgard, Thor is finally of the age where he gets to be the new king. Even though he's arrogant and a spoiled brat, and Loki's kind of jealous, but hey, he's getting courted. It's his big day, but it gets interrupted by the Frost Giants sneaking into Odin's vault and trying to take away that casket of ancient rituals. Point is, Thor's really upset that his day is ruined, and also that the Frost Giants broke in. So Thor and his posse, consisting of Loki, Sif, and the Warriors of Unchangeable, go off to Jotunheim to fight the Frost Giants for what they did. This is specifically against Odin's instructions, but again, Thor is dumb and arrogant. A fight starts, but Odin comes around and breaks it up. Odin's pretty mad at Thor, so he takes away all of his godly powers and his powerful hammer, Mjolnir. Quick side note, Mjolnir was made from the core of a dying star.
Yes, he will. Travis will be joining us for Fan Appreciation Night.
He then pitches Thor down
Absolutely. And I'm thinking we might have a date for that night as well. Fan Appreciation Night.
On his way there, Coulson stops an armed robbery at a convenience store because he's just that good. Back to start, Tony's hanging out.
So we might be doing Fan Appreciation Night during Labor Day weekend. During Labor Day weekend, we might be doing it then. Not exactly sure, but we're going to see. Andrew, how are you, my friend? Flanala, how are you? Good to see you. Jonah Springer, how you doing?
So, yeah, that's fixed. Tony's no longer dying. Now he just has to worry about the crazy Russian and the smarmy businessman. At this point, Bruce Banner's also come back to Yale University, and he's hiding out with an old friend of his. So now Justin Hammer is showing off his Ivan Vanko designed drones at the Stark Expo, but Vanko goes for his own motives of killing Stark and hijacks the drones and sends them after Tony. He also hijacks the War Machine armor with Rhodey in it. There's a bit of a chase, during which Tony sees a little kid who's a fan of his called Peter Parker, who will come into play more later. Eventually, Rhodey gets control of the suit back, and him and Tony team up to destroy all of the drones, while Black Widow and Tony's bodyguard Happy fight some bad guy henchmen. Eventually, Tony and Rhodey fight Vanko in a giant Iron Man-type suit, and end up blowing him up and killing him by combining their repulsor powers. Hammer gets arrested, Pepper gets a kiss, and Rhodey gets the armor. Kind of. Not okay. Meanwhile, back in New Mexico, Jane Foster, Eric Selvig, and Jane's friend Darcy find Thor all powerless lying in the desert. They tase him and send him to the hospital. S.H.I.E.L.D. also starts investigating Thor's hammer Mjolnir on Earth. Nick Fury realizes how big this New Mexico situation could be, and so also sends Cliff Barton to help Coulson with it. Thor escapes from the hospital using his Asgard training and meets up with Jane, and they start having a little bit of a romance. Back in Asgard, Loki discovers that he isn't actually Odin's son, and that he's a frost giant, which makes him pretty upset. Odin then falls into a deep sleep that he has to take once in a while, called Odin sleep, and Loki starts planning a treacherous plan to get Odin's approval back, which involves hitting the frost giant, attacking, and then saving his dad's life. His adopted dad, not his real dad. Back with Banner, he meets up with Betty, and they get back together. However, in the process, the military figure out he's there and head for the location. Emil Blonsky gets injected with a version of the Super Soldier Serum, thanks to Ross, to help him take on the Hulk, which means he can survive this sort of thing. Seeing General Ross getting more and more desperate to get at the Hulk, Fury sends Natasha Romanoff to go spy on Banner. Banner gets caught by the military, hulks out, and fights them and Emil Blonsky at Culver University, and then runs off with Betty. Romanoff sees this whole thing and tells Fury about it. Fury has too much on his plate already, though, as he has to go to Tony again and talk to him about joining the Avengers. He reveals that Tony is not approved for it because of what Natasha has seen. Just all of this. But they'd still like to have him as a consultant. Tony agrees.
Now I'm starting to wonder about doing this a little differently now.
And tries to lift it, but discovers he's still not worthy, as he's still an arrogant child. He's then captured by S.H.I.E.L.D., and Loki comes down to lie to him and tells him Odin's dead. Eric Selvig then manages to get Coulson to give him Thor.
Spent 50, worth 250.
Loki, because
that's a good deal. That's a good deal, BB Bills. That's a good deal, man.
Loki's also taken over Asgard while all this was happening. The destroyer comes, Thor and the warriors fight it, and Thor proves that he's learned his lesson and he's worthy and has learned humility, and boom, he gets his hammer and powers back. Up in Asgard, the Frost Giants attack and are about to kill the sleeping Odin, but Loki betrays them to save his father. Thor is saved from the warriors to get back to Asgard and stop Loki from taking over the throne. However, in the ensuing battle, Thor has to destroy the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge connecting the planet realms, to stop Loki from the planets, meaning he's now stuck on Asgard, temporarily at least. Loki then falls into space and is presumed dead, but actually gets picked up by Thanos, who sees some potential in Loki for helping him grab all 10 gems. He stops Loki from dying, gives him one of the Infinity Stones he's actually acquired, the Mind Stone, in a sweet scepter, and presents him with a deal. You see, Thanos has discovered that one of the 6 stones, the Space Stone, is in the Tesseract, which is currently in S.H.I.E.L.D. possession. So he's like, hey, Loki, I'll give you the means to go get revenge and conquer the planet your brother loves so much by giving you my massive Chitauri army. And all you have to do is bring me back that Tesseract. Oh, and please don't lose the stone, I'm also giving you 2 people with. Him and Loki agree and spend the next while planning their attack. Betty and Bruce are still running around and eventually get to New York, where they meet with that guy Stearns, who thought he could cure the Hulk. However, it doesn't really work out. Emil Blonsky shows up and forces that doctor to inject him with some of Banner's super blood serum, and it turns him into a similarly gross giant CGI rage monster.
How's it going?
Stearns also gets a little serum himself, but he's taken away
Elevate?
Blonsky, now known as
Mega Merce?
is going nuts in Harlem.
How you doing, Elevate?
And so Bruce decides to Hulk out once more and fight him, eventually defeating him and then running away. Banner ends up in Bellapura, where he calms himself and learns how to control the Hulk. He does this by always being angry. Later on, he moves to India to work as a doctor there. On the way, he's attacked and is forced to Hulk out. Once he turns back into Banner, he looks much more like the famous magician Dylan Rhodes. And yes, that is the worst reference I could have pulled for this. S.H.I.E.L.D. then asks Eric Selvig, after all his Thor adventures, to help him experiment on the Tesseract. Loki shows up and influences Selvig to say yes, so his plot to get that Infinity Stone is already in motion. S.H.I.E.L.D. also finds the Destroyer and takes it back to HQ, where they use this amazing Asgardian tech to turn it into a gun. Meanwhile, the World Security Council, friendly reminder that they're a bunch of politicians, and some secret Hydra guys who oversee the world's security and S.H.I.E.L.D. want to add the Abomination to the Avengers team, because he can smash stuff, but Coulson and Jasper Sitwell figure out a plan to stop that from happening. Because he's also
Buck Slayer, what's going on?
Is to send Tony Stark as the consultant to talk to General Ross and anger him so much that he refuses to give Blonsky to the Avengers. Stark works his charm, and it plays out perfectly. Tony then devotes his time and energy to building Stark Tower, a giant building run by arc reactors for him to live in New York. A self-sustaining piece of energy with his name on the front. Very cool, and also kind of narcissistic, which if you think about it, is Tony Stark in a nutshell. Also, just while all this is happening, Iliad is testing more people with extremists, and some are working out nicely, but some are blowing up. And it's starting to get a little suspicious to the government. 2011 is a relatively common year for the MCU. Jane Foster and S.H.I.E.L.D. try to reopen a wormhole to get back to Asgard, so Thor can come through, but it fails because that Bifrost isn't there anymore. Jane's not too happy about this. Tony and Pepper's relationship is continuing, and at one point she gives him some magnets that he uses to improve his suit. It's very romantic. Brody gets an upgraded version of the War Machine armor, and he uses it to go off.
All right, I have an idea.
The big thing that happens here is that in the Arctic, some Russians are looking for oil when they come across Captain America's old plane, with Cap inside. S.H.I.E.L.D. soon shows up, finds the capsule, thaws him out, and sets him up in a facility in New York so he can slowly adjust to the modern world. However, he quickly breaks out and is approached by Nick Fury, who explains to him what's happened and what the Avengers are. He's sent to a little
Ooh, you just got your wisdom tooth pulled? Spectacular, I know that feeling. Trust and believe, I know that feeling.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is now considering reactivating old Hydra weapons in case they need to fight some other worldly threat, like a bonus precaution on top of the Avengers, given how weird the world's got recently. So now let's move over to something a little more obscure, but it'll be important later. There's a lab where a bunch of people work, including a happy couple, Lucy and Joseph Bauer. They come across this book called The Darkhold. The Darkhold is made from dark matter in the Hell Dimension. Again, not the planet realm Hell, the entirely different dimension Hell. Anyway, the book lets you build stuff out of dark matter, and people like Nick Fury and Red Skull had looked for it for years. They searched and searched the entire world, but these two lab nerds found it in some basement. After they find it, what happens with every magical object happens, they become obsessed with it. They start to use the Darkhold to build a machine that lets you create matter out of literally nothing. They show their fellow lab workers the book and what it can do, and one of them, a guy called Eli Morrow, sees the power of the book and starts to also get obsessed with it, wanting that power all for himself. Joseph's not a fan of this, so he hires a gang to kill Eli. Eli has a nephew called Robbie Reyes, and one night Robbie steals his uncle Eli's car to go street racing. He also takes his little brother Gabe with him. The gang that was hired to kill Eli mistakes Robbie for Eli and shoots up the car. They kill Robbie and cripple his brother. Robbie's spirit wants some of that sweet vengeance really bad though, and so Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider, appears and transfers the spirit of vengeance to him, turning Robbie into the new Ghost Rider. Because I guess he wanted vengeance even more than Johnny did. Robbie comes back and uses his newfound powers to hunt down the criminals who deserve it. Next day, Eli finds out Joseph tried to kill him, so he beats him up pretty bad, and also uses that machine they built to turn the other lab workers and Lucy into spiritual entities, which is just this universe's fancy way of saying ghosts. He turns them into ghosts who can make people go crazy by touching them. Then Eli's arrested, while Robbie goes off and kills criminals as the Ghost Rider. Everything else is pretty normal.
Bart, how is it doing?
Black Widow are training. Tony Stark is messing around with women lie.
I said, how is it doing?
At one point, Black Widow sent on a shield mission to Russia.
Tired.
And gets caught up in a 10 rings plan to shoot a missile on the Russian.
I'm redoing this entire design.
With the help of Phil Coulson, she stops that.
I want to see what is going to look like if I redesign this one part.
However, his procedures go wrong, and he explodes in Tennessee. The others are killed as well. More and more of these explosions are coming to light and getting very suspicious. So to cover them up, Aldrich Killian disguises them as terrorist attacks by the leader of the Ten Rings, who is known as the Mandarin. The real Mandarin has nothing to do with these, but allows the credit to be taken anyway, because, hey, why not? At this point, out in space, Loki is still chilling out in Thanos.
This is the skeleton version of this build.
This happens, Frigga, Loki's adopted mom, realizes he's actually alive and tries to contact him, but it doesn't go too well. She tells Odin and Thor that Loki's alive, and they realize he's probably going to do something terrible to Earth. So Thor and Odin then work on a way to get Thor back to Earth without the Bifrost, that being using some dark magic. Maybe from the Dark Dimension? Who knows? So now Thanos' big plan goes into effect. He helps Loki open up a portal to Earth using the Tesseract, and using that new Infinity Stone powered scepter that Thanos gave him, he goes through and mind controls Hawkeye, Selvig, and a bunch of other S.H.I.E.L.D. workers. He steals the Tesseract and runs away. Nick Fury sees that their worst fears of an alien invasion are about to come true, and he sets the Avengers Initiative into full effect. This involves getting Black Widow for a mission in Russia to go recruit Bruce Banner in India, who is a little hesitant at first, but comes along and promises that they will his brain and not his Hulk. Tony Stark getting recruited by Coulson, and Captain America, having realized Peggy Carter is still alive and boxing people tonight, getting called in by Nick Fury. For her own safety, Jane Foster is also moved to Norway, because odds are Loki would go straight for her. Again, apparently Norway is the safest place on the planet. Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner, and Natasha meet up on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s giant flying fortress called the Helicarrier and figure out a plan of action. Meanwhile, Eric Selvig needs a certain material to power up the Tesseract, so he can let the Chitauri army through, so Hawkeye goes off and gets it for him with the help of Loki in Germany. Cap arrives, and him and Loki have a quick fight, but Cap is a bit out of practice. Tony shows up, and Loki is taken captive, but little do the Avengers know that it's all part of the plan to turn them against each other. On the way back to the Helicarrier, Thor gets shot down from Asgard and takes Loki for himself. So him, Iron Man, and Cap have a fight over it until they realize they're on the same side. Loki's taken back to the Helicarrier, where the Avengers talk and start to not love each other's company too much. Bruce Banner feels like he's being antagonized. Cap discovers the old Hydra weapon S.H.I.E.L.D. was keeping, just in case, and also isn't a huge fan of Tony's brand of comedy. And Black Widow realizes that Loki plans to use the Hulk to escape. The Avengers start really fighting, and Hawkeye and Loki's crew shows up.
Okay, Trevin, that sounds good.
In the following fight, Bruce Banner loses his crew and holds out and destroys the Helicarrier.
That's good.
Fights Thor and eventually falls down to it. Cap and Iron Man work
Live deep. How you doing?
Engines. Hawkeye is knocked out of his mind control and brought back to the team. Thor gets thrown down to Earth, and Loki escapes after backstabbing Phil Coulson. Literally. Loki then goes to Stark Tower to let in his alien army. The death of Coulson gives the team something to actually avenge, which kind of makes you wonder why they were called that beforehand, and they come together under that to stop Loki in New York. The Chitauri army does come through, and the Avengers, in all their glory, fight them off. There's a ton of property damage, and a lot of people die, but the Avengers work their hardest to save as many people as they can. Tony calls Rhodey to come help, but he can't, because he's busy fighting terrorists in Hong Kong. Arguably, I'd say an alien invasion is slightly more important. The World Security Council, though, who continue to be the worst people, don't think the Avengers can save the world, so they send a nuke to stop the invasion.
Alright.
But it will also kill everyone.
Might not be able to do this. It's too wide. I don't want it to be this wide.
The Chitauri home base through the portal. All the Chitauri. He fails in space, and he kind of almost dies up there before falling back down to Earth. Black Widow closes the portal, Hulk grabs Tony and saves him, and Loki and the Tesseract are taken away. And the world is saved. After all this insanity, the Avengers go for lunch at a shawarma place. Rhodes. Rhodey arrives to help in the battle, only to see that it's already over. Damn it. But at least he got some schlong. The Ten Rings and the real Mandarin, by the way, are not happy about Rhodey and his Ten Rings fighting. Loki's scepter is taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D. to be studied. Loki and Thor go back to Asgard, where Loki's thrown in prison, and the Tesseract is put in Odin's treasure vault. The other Avengers go their separate ways. Tony Stark decides to rebuild Stark Tower as Avengers Tower with Pepper. Bruce tries to live a normal life, and Cap decides to stick with S.H.I.E.L.D. and train with them to become an awesome fighter, along with Black Widow and Hawkeye. For the next while, he trains in martial arts and espionage and the law, until he can do stuff like this. After the battle, that cleanup company, the Toon Salvage Company, led by Adrian Toombs, realized that this Chitauri attack is their big break, and they might get a ton of money off this. They start cleaning up after this Chitauri stuff with all this weird alien tech, but soon Tony Stark puts together a team of his own to clean up, called Damage Control, and they send Toombs away. He's really angry about this, and grows a hatred for Tony Stark and the other Avengers, and decides that he's not going to take this line down. So over the next several years, he and his crew start illegally salvaging the crazy, mythical, and alien tech from all the Avengers' great super battles, and also from Damage Control afterwards. Toombs himself starts utilizing a flight suit with wings called the Vulture Suit. The crew now sells these super weapons illegally and make their business that way. Toombs keeps this all secret from his wife and daughter. He also isn't the only one finding Chitauri tech. These two people, called Benjamin and Claire, find a Chitauri gun and start to rob banks with it. Eventually, they're caught by S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra agent Sitwell and are offered jobs at S.H.I.E.L.D. for their intuition. The other, Thanos' assistant in a way, tells Thanos that Loki failed and that Earth is now protected by these heroes, which should really anger Thanos, but he takes it well and just smiles. He isn't too happy about how Loki's failed. Back on Asgard, with Loki in prison, Heimdall discovers that he can use the Tesseract to rebuild the Bifrost, so he does. Since Thor went to Earth, the 9 planet realms have kind of fallen into chaos, so Thor spends his time now going around cleaning up that mess. Meanwhile, on Earth, Jake Foster's pretty upset with
All right, thinking about doing this. Hey, Zai, what's going on, cuz?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing
He's
this.
having a good time living the hero life, but he didn't come out of that wormhole totally okay though. He can't sleep. He has like space PTSD. So he starts building the Iron Legion, an Iron Man army to keep him occupied. Back at S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury's looking at Coulson's corpse and thinking, well, he's not an Avenger, but he was a pretty fun guy. So Fury reactivates Project Tahiti to bring Coulson back to life using that Kree body. He also wipes Coulson's memory of the project ever existing. Instead, Coulson's given memories of sitting in a beautiful hut in Tahiti. It takes him a little while to recover. So now there's a dude called Scott Lang, who's working at a company called Vistacor, where Scott finds out that they're cheating their customers out of money. After being fired for discovering this, he breaks into Vistacor and Robin Hood's millions of dollars back to the customers. He also steals some of his old boss's stuff and drives his car into his pool, just for good measure. He's then arrested and sent to jail for several years, but he knows deep down that he did the right thing. Except for the car in the pool part. That was a little excessive. Iron Man and War Machine team up to take out a low-level villain known as the Melter, who starts messing their stuff up, and soon after, the US government gives War Machine a paint job and turns him into Iron Patriot. This is in response to those extremist explosions that everyone thinks are Mandarin bombers, that are popping up more and more now. To make his Mandarin cover-up even more convincing, Gillian finds a washed-up British actor called Trevor Slattery. He gives him a makeover and promises him drugs and boats and hookers if he'll play this terrorist convincingly. Trevor accepts and does a pretty good job, making the world absolutely terrified of him and giving a face for these bombers. While Killian is working.
Might think about doing this instead. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm floundering right now.
Yeah, that doesn't help you. Pepper meets with Aldrich Killian, who's trying to pitch his ideas to her, but it doesn't go super well. Happy Hogan, now head of security at Stark Industries, follows one of Killian's extremist henchmen to the Chinese theater, where another extremist patient fails and blows up, seriously injuring Happy. Tony thinks this is another Mandarin bombing and threatens the Mandarin by giving him his home address. Not really how threats work, though. Surprise, Aldrich Killian sends helicopters to blow up Tony's house, right as Maya Hansen had betrayed her boss Killian and showed up to warn Tony of these dangers. Pepper and Maya get out, and with the help of his latest armor, the Mark 42, Tony flies to Tennessee where one of those Mandarin bombs happened. The suit runs out of power, and the world thinks Tony's dead. But S.H.I.E.L.D. does nothing to investigate, because I guess they were busy that day. Tony meets this kid there called Harley, who gets him some help and a sandwich. He starts solving the mystery of the Mandarin and these explosions, and has a little encounter with some extremist guys before getting out of there.
Oh, man.
Building some makeshift weapons along the way, and with the help of Harley, gets over his PTSD.
Trying to figure this thing out.
He breaks into the Mandarin Playboy Mansion, only to discover the truth about Trevor Slattery before being captured by Aldrich Killian. Long story short, Killian kills Maya Hansen, kidnaps Pepper and injects her with extremists, and gets the Iron Patriot armor from Rhodey. Stark escapes and gets his suit back, but Killian has sent a henchman to Air Force One in the Iron Patriot armor as like a Trojan horse. While Iron Man saves most on board the plane, the President of the United States is still kidnapped and strung up to be killed by oil. With the President out of the way, the Vice President will become Killian's puppet, as he's secretly working with Killian for his own reasons. This way, Killian will have the President of the United States and the world's most feared terrorist under his control. Not a bad plan. However, these plans are foiled when Stark, Rhodey, an extremist of Pepper, and the entire Iron Legion save the President and defeat Ultra's Killian and his extremist soldiers. In a gesture that ultimately wasn't very long-lasting, Tony decides to blow up all of his suits and devote more time to it. He also gets the extremists taken out of Pepper.
Mr. Heath. How you doing, Mr. Heath?
Still Iron Man. Yes. Also,
over here trying to figure something out.
Iron Man suits again. He's paranoid about aliens still and wants to work on protecting the entire world using his tech. This causes his relationship with Pepper to start to be a little strained again, which ultimately later on leads to them taking her. After all these adventures and strained relationships, Tony needs a counseling session and so sits down with Bruce to talk about his problems. Bruce, as it turns out, is not a big fan of Iron Man 3. Moving back to the more grounded world, that guy from earlier, Carl Lucas, is framed by his secret brother Willis and is sent to serve a long prison sentence at Seagate for a crime he didn't commit. Here he befriends a dude called Squabbles and starts getting picked on by other inmates and guards, including a guy called Rackham and a guy called Shades. He also starts bonding with the prison psychologist lady called Ruby Connors. Meanwhile, in space somewhere, a genetically engineered being that looks like a raccoon called Rocket and a sentient, lovable tree man thing called Groot are partners in crime. Rocket's
What's up, Nick? Got some good news and bad news. I like bad news first, so I can feel good about the good news. So what's the bad news?
End up saving the snails instead. I know, one of the more riveting tales in the MCU. Back in prison, Carl Lucas is forced to start fighting with the other inmates for the entertainment of people like Rackham, and rumors of prisoners being experimented on start circulating. Lucas trains and becomes a skilled fighter with his buddy Squabbles, and beats other prisoners for months. After a while, though, Carl is sick of Rackham and his prisoner fighting ways, so he threatens to expose him. But then, in retaliation, Rackham threatens to kill Reva, actually kills Squabbles, and his henchmen like Shades beat up Carl and put him.
Oh, thanks, Spectacular. I'm just
that experiment that was mentioned earlier, which involves a serum to help you
just burnt out.
Probably another 10 Vickers Erskine's super soldier suit. While the experiment is happening,
all right. Right now, I am procrastinating studying for a final exam tomorrow.
There's an explosion.
Okay.
Rackham's killed, Carl escapes with his new powers and goes to be with Reva. They're in love now. Carl starts his new life by having all of his records deleted and gets his name changed to Luke Cage. Soon after, him and Reva get married, and things are looking up. Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson are working at their own law firm to help people find justice, and at night, Matt finds another way to serve justice. Matt hears his next-door neighbor abusing his daughter, so after the police don't do anything, he does what any normal person would do, puts on a mask, beats his neighbor senseless, and starts becoming a nighttime blind vigilante. He still has all those fighting skills from his younger years, and his enhanced sense of self. Back at S.H.I.E.L.D., Phil Coulson is now alive and kicking again, and Fury gives him some more resources and tells
Hey,
him
Moto, what's up?
to do all sorts of fun missions.
Sorry.
His team includes the quirky S.H.I.E.L.D.
Lego exhibited. No, I want to find a better word for that.
The first mission comes when a guy who's centipede program
Lego featured Moto. Guys, in case you didn't know, Moto was featured by Lego. Moto was featured by Lego. What is it? Build Together? I think the hashtag was Build Together. I think that's the hashtag. I might be wrong.
Big show with a lot of plot threads and details. I'm just going to cover it in pretty broad terms, so this doesn't get super bogged down.
Oh, okay. The good news, you're excited for Thursday. Absolutely. Guys, Thursday we're going to do a podcast. We're going to do a joint podcast with myself. We're going to have Nick. We're going to have Mike from Jay-Z Production. And we're going to have, don't tell me. Gosh, I keep forgetting it. Oh, man, I keep forgetting his name. Hold on. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Jessica doesn't want to until she's dressed as a dumb sandwich, saves someone, and feels the great feeling of being a hero.
Don't tell me.
Friend Malcolm from Muggers, until she's found by Kilgrave, that awful guy with mind control powers. He stumbles upon her and sees her using her powers to control of her mind, and holds her basically as
you may have to tell me. You may have to tell me. Ah, man. Yeah, man. I'm fried. Fried right now.
Also later on opens up his own bar. Meanwhile,
no. Drizzle. Drizzle.
On missions on the
Drizzle.
they oddly never cross paths.
Drizzle something.
Presumably working
Drizzle something. Hey, Minnie Mouse, what's up? What's up? How you?
weapon called the Zodiac from Shield and save some professor from being kidnapped. Regular Shield stuff.
Yeah, man. Moto, you are.
Way back in Asgard,
You are.
Frost Giant was magic.
Yes. See, I knew it was gonna come to me. It was gonna come to me. Moto, you have been immortalized. You've been immortalized, man. Your stuff. You put your stuff on their social media. That's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you, man. Hard work pays off, man. Hard work pays off.
Which means portals start opening up and allow you to travel between the 9 platforms. Jane Foster accidentally gets sucked into a portal, which takes her right to where Boar hid one of those Infinity Stones, the Ether, aka the Reality Stone. She becomes infected with it and is sent back to Earth. Heimdall uses his cerebral powers and tells Thor that he can't find Jane anymore. So Thor goes to Earth to pick her up and take her back to Asgard to find out what's wrong with her. Meanwhile, across the universe, because the Ether's become active again, Malekith and his Dark Elves, from way back at the start of the story, awaken again and get dead set on getting the Ether back. They invade Asgard, but don't find Jane or the Ether. So they stab Thor's mom and get out of there. Thor then goes.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's what I need. I need some rest. This week is going to be a tough week. I gotta be up. I gotta be up by 7 a.m. to get to teach. But I also have to pick up at 3 a.m. So it's tough. But
Loki then poses as Odin and becomes the new king of Asgard. Thor fights Malekith, who many planet
nah, Moto, not at all, man, not at all. Listen, I was on Lego Masters, but Lego actually featured your work. That's something that I'm now currently trying to do. You know, I gotta invest in a nice digital camera. I just ordered a few items so I can take some professional shots. I want to take professional shots of this church. I want to also take some professional shots of my Iron Man Chronicles. So I want to start putting my mocks up and having it done professionally. And my Infinity Gauntlets, I want to start putting those things up professionally as well. So that's something that I gotta do. Do you think that this week might not work? No, we're doing that podcast, bro. We're doing that podcast. I don't want to put that off anymore. Mr. Patrick, I don't want to put that off anymore. I want to do that podcast, buddy. Pretty good. I've been super busy with signing up for college classes. I'm currently job searching for a childcare job. If you saw my recent post, yes, I did. Excellent job. Excellent job. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. That is awesome, though. That is awesome, Minnie Mouse. And I wish you nothing but success when it comes to that. Man, I'm trying to see how I can redesign this Hall of Armor. I want the round part to be small like this, but it's not gonna work with the Iron Man. It just won't work with them. So as much as I would love for it to work, it just won't work. Now it will work like this. It will work like that, but I want them in the glass. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I want them in the glass. I want it this size, but shape it like the arc reactor. Exactly. That's how I want it to be shaped. But I can't do it with the glass, with the door on it. But this piece just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Or maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work. I'll keep fiddling with this thing. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. Instagram. It's that time again. So I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys have a great day tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow to do some awesome builds. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. See ya. Steve goes off and visits a now super old Peggy. All right. It's on his neighbor, who unbeknownst to him is Peggy's secret agent niece, and hangs out with his buddy Sam. Fury starts becoming a little suspicious of Project Insight, so he asks for it to be delayed.
After this, Alexander Pierce gets out Hydra's old secret weapon, the Winter Soldier, to kill Fury for doing that. Fury escapes and tells Cap that Shield's compromised, but then gets shot pretty bad by the Winter Soldier. He takes a pill that slows his heart down to appear as if he's died, and sends Cap off with a USB to discover the truth. Pierce then sends S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra people to kill Rogers, but he escapes, and with Black Widow goes to his old training base from the 40s, where he finds Zola's old computer brain. Zola stalls them by explaining how Hydra has been inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. this whole time, and then gets blown up by a missile. Cap and Black Widow survive and head over to Sam Wilson, who takes them in and joins their little team, as both the Falcon and the good-looking man in the sunglasses. Pierce sends the Winter Soldier to kill Cap and company, but after a fight, Steve discovers that he's actually his old pal Bucky, and this is obviously a little emotionally disturbing. He's then taken captive along with his pals, but they soon escape with help from Maria Hill, and find out Nick Fury is still alive. They then make a plan to take down the Hydra carriers, which involves 3 little computer chips, Tom Cruise style. Also, Bucky is starting to remember Steve, but Alexander Pierce isn't having any of that, so he puts his brain back in a blender. So Cap and the team go to carry out the mission and succeed. Action ensues, and after a lot of punching in the face, Bucky finally remembers fully who Steve is and saves him from drowning. Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. secrets are then exposed to the world by Widow, Pierce is killed, Steve recovers, Bucky goes to the by himself, and eventually moves to Bucharest and becomes obsessed with plums. And one senator from before gets arrested, and Brock Rumlow gets crushed under a building and becomes pretty horribly disfigured. He survives and takes on the name Crossbones, wearing a special armored suit. Also, he doesn't work for Hydra anymore, since he shoots some of their agents. He's just a bad guy who wants revenge on Captain America. Cap and Sam resolve to go off and find Bucky and bring him back to normal. Meanwhile, Bucky's off killing Hydra scientists and trying to become more human. Now, as you would imagine, with the S.H.I.E.L.D. team, finding out everyone's Hydra is a pretty big mess. John Garrett and Grant Ward are exposed and start shooting people in the face, and a big battle between Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. ensues. In the chaos that follows, the U.S. government declares S.H.I.E.L.D. a terrorist organization, so that's fun.
All right, we're going to try this tomorrow. All right, everybody. YouTube, you guys take care. I will catch you guys on the next one.
Fitz almost sacrifices himself to save Simba.
Yeah, I know, Moto, but you got a lot going on, man. You got a lot going on, but I appreciate you stepping in, stopping by. Just to let you know, Moto, this is our feature for today's Brago Monday. Landshark, the Brago version. Boom. So we're going to have that featured tonight. So, wanted to let you know that. All right. I'll see you later, though, Moto. Take good care, my friend. Great job on what you're doing. Keep pushing. Keep at it. All right? You're on your way, man. You're there. You're not even on your way. You're there. You're there. I hope that you get the call up and you'll be the next Lego master. So, take care, buddy. Take care, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow.